Nice to meet you. I just had a question.
Sure.
There was an assignment that you gave last week.
Yes.
About love or writing ways that you show love, something, but I don't know, but can you show me the assignment?
Yes, okay.
Could you print it off and show it to me, or
Yes,
do you have a copy?
It was a digital assignment, so I don't have a physical copy, though I can probably print one if you need.
Well, either way, you could just show it to me.
Let me remember, because that one, what was that even associated with? Oh, I remember now. Okay. Let me get there. I'm assuming I have your child as a student?
You don't actually.
Oh, okay.
You don't actually. You have one of my daughter's friends.
Oh, okay. Okay, I found it. Here,
Okay,
let me turn
perfect.
this around.
Sorry. Thank you so much.
Did you have a specific question about it?
Well, I just wanted to see the assignment because my daughter talked to me about it.
Oh, okay. So this is it's a mentor text for persuasive writing. So they had a choice either of looking at an example of an advice column or
Okay.
of a therapy session, because the idea is that you're either writing an advice column to Romeo or Juliet, or you are conducting a couples therapy session with Romeo and Juliet to kind of like have them work through their problems. And then at the end, there were some questions. So explain why you selected the writing assignment, what knowledge, experience, or background do you have in order to excel at your selected task. And then I added in this question because since we are talking about Romeo and Juliet and love, I wanted them to just think of who in their life needs to know their love and what are you going to do to show them.
So my daughter said that question, when her friend showed her,
Yes.
it had in parentheses examples. It said holding hands, kissing, and it said sex.
Oh, okay. No, I actually know what you're referring to. Is this in 8th grade?
Yes.
Okay. Because someone pointed this out to me today, and I didn't think it was too much of an issue, but they did make it a word to me today. Was it on this paper?
Yeah, she said it was on a physical paper because her friend was working on it at lunch.
Where did it go? Oh, no, it was this one. Okay. It was on this handout. So this was for creative writing.
Okay.
So we got personality types. This is like guards, and then this is like love languages.
Okay, let me
You're
see.
probably referring to the physical touch section as one of the love
The
languages.
5 love languages. I don't have my reading glasses on,
Okay, you
so
want
I
me to
can't
read?
see. Visit and take to understand. Most people have one more. Identity. Because I can't really see.
You're good. So right here it says physical touch, feeling or expressing love through physical touch and accessibility, including kissing, cuddling, holding hands, and sex. That's probably what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is what I'm referring
Okay.
to. Do you want to talk to me about this? About why that's on the paper?
Sure. So I didn't write this.
But you gave it to them.
I did give it to them.
You did give it to them.
And this was something that when I was reading it, I honestly glazed over it.
Okay.
A student pointed out to me today, and how I handled it, because it came to me as like alarming too, because I obviously don't want them talking about or thinking about sex, though I think the other ones are fine. What did I say to the student today? I said,
Can I have that copy?
yeah, you totally can.
Thank you.
I told them, I said, they came over to me pointing it out as they thought it was like funny or a joke. And I essentially said to them, I was like, okay, well that is a form of physical touch. And I just kind of left it at that. I didn't want to dive into it any further than
Sure.
that. Tell me what you are thinking. Because like I don't want to I'm not trying to come across like that's something like I'm promoting to my students, but it definitely.
Well, it just seems,
Yeah.
first of all, age appropriate does not seem age appropriate to be discussing like this type of I didn't know what this was, and that's
Right.
why I wanted to see it before I came and talked
Right.
to you, because obviously when my daughter says, hey, my friend showed me this,
Okay.
and I didn't want to disclose the friend's name because she was really nervous, and she's
That's
like, this
fine.
makes me really uncomfortable
Idea
of that you're introducing ideas of what love is, and they're so innocent. They're only in
Okay.
8th grade, and they should
Yeah.
not be. This didn't even cross my mind in 8th grade. Now, for a boy, I can't speak for boys.
Okay.
But this kind of thing in 8th grade for me, for my kids,
Okay.
this thing where I didn't know what the assignment is, I just feel like it's very suggestive to have them think,
Okay.
I'm going to show love and I'm going to do it physically.
Okay.
And I don't even know that my daughter would even associate that like love and sex even go together, because she just has not dived into that
Sure.
in her mind. So you're telling the students like what it is by this sheet, and I just feel like it's getting their minds to think about things in a sexual nature, when honestly I don't think kids this age, unless they've had high exposure
Okay.
to maybe things, because I've lived in Chicago,
Sure.
I have lived in California.
Yeah.
I know that this is a different place, but usually it's high exposure to maybe inappropriate things,
Okay.
but then maybe they have seen stuff.
Okay.
But the fact that my daughter's friend just told her, like, I'm so uncomfortable reading this, and I'm so
Okay.
uncomfortable that my teacher gave it to me,
Right.
and that when it was brought to your attention, I feel like you should let the parents know, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to take that out of my curriculum because this is not appropriate.
Well, I do want to say the discussion of sex is not in my curriculum. We don't discuss sex.
But it's on this sheet.
Right. So at
That
this
you gave.
can
So
I-
how is it not in your curriculum?
Can I ask you a question? I'm not from Utah. I don't know at what point kids take health, where they discuss sex ed. I know it is something that starting in like high school they do.
In the state of Utah,
yeah.
if you discuss sex, and this is the same in California,
Right.
because my kids went to school in California. We've only lived here for 6
Right.
years. It's the same. California's rules, it starts a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Utah, I believe this year, they start health and they cover it. But if you want to have anything, even a printout, even if you don't talk about it,
Okay.
which you should know this as a teacher.
Okay.
You should know this.
Okay.
Because you're a teacher.
Right.
But you have to have them, you have to send out a release form, like, we're covering this. It's going to be discussed about how we show physical, like how we show affection or whatever. I don't even know what this assignment is specifically, and I
Yeah.
still feel like I don't understand why you
It's
gave
for
this to
building
them.
characters. We're doing creative writing. We're
Okay.
creating characters.
You're creating characters.
And by understanding the different ways they have guards, the different ways they show love, the different ways, the different personality types they have. That's what this is.
So they should build a character that maybe has sex with another character?
No, that's not what I'm implying at all.
Okay, so then why is it in here?
So, would it be all right if I give you my honest opinion on this?
Sure.
Okay, so my opinion is that it's not my place to teach or discuss sex in school,
Of course it's not.
but I don't think it's inappropriate to make the connection that sex is a form of love. I guess that's where, like, because I think there is a really negative culture surrounding sex, and I think one thing, not that I would ever teach this, but my personal view is that by having a more open discussion about it as a society, even if it's just a mention of, like, yes, when two people love each other, they have sex. And, like, which is, I didn't say that to them. It's just like the word sex was on a sheet.
But
right?
this implies it.
Right.
So I don't see how you're like, I didn't teach it, but I gave them a sheet that they read, that they learn from.
Okay.
So explain how those two don't go together, how you're not teaching it, but you gave them the sheet that implies that.
I don't think it's a leap of judgment to assume that when two people love each other, they have sex.
That's fine. I'm not disagreeing with that. You can have that opinion. I can have my opinions. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you should not be implying that to students. That's
Okay.
not something you're covering. That's not something by the state of Utah law should be in your curriculum at all. It's
Okay.
actually against the law.
Okay. I'll tell you, like, just because I'm a teacher doesn't mean I'm infallible, right? If it was something that I was unaware of or a mistake I made, like, I can own up to that.
Yeah.
If I need to make changes, I'm totally willing to do that.
I understand. What I'm trying
Right.
to express to you is it was brought to your attention and you glazed over it.
Right, because I didn't want to make it a bigger deal than it needed to be. A
But-
student comes to me making a joke
Yeah.
about sex. I don't want
Sure.
to. I don't want to like shame them for that. I didn't want to like even get into a discussion about
Sure.
it. I simply was just like, well, yes, that is a form of physical touch, and
Sure.
then moved on.
So my question is, if I know you're like, I didn't write this. Did you read this full thing when you said you glazed over it?
Yeah, I've read it before. I've created my own characters based off of it in my own writing. So.
Okay. And there were no red flags raised. Like, these are 8th grade kids. Some of these girls haven't even gone through puberty. Some of them have, some of them haven't. I don't know if this is like appropriate that we, like maybe I could just edit this myself and take out physical touch, like maybe hugging someone or standing close to them, and maybe be more nuanced, like Jane Austen is in her writing, right? She's very nuanced.
Sure.
And it's not very explicit. To me, this is much more explicit. I don't enjoy writing anyway that's explicit.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that there are books taught in the state of Utah and taught like even in our district that are more explicit with sex than that.
Sure, and
right?
I'm sure I'll be having future discussions.
Right, which is fine. One of them being the book Speak, right, which talks about a girl who experiences sexual trauma, though I believe it's addressed in an appropriate way for girls 9th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade and above, right? So I don't think that the discussion of sex and trauma and those appropriate or inappropriate relationships should be avoided,
but
right?
That's not what I'm talking about. I think we're getting off subject.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What I'm talking about is you gave them assignment.
Yeah.
This to help them write characters.
Yes.
And these characters, you're like, oh, these characters, like ways to show love.
Okay.
Physical touch. It specifically names having sex.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Are there other ways to show love other than sex?
Of course.
That are physical?
Of course.
Does it have to be in there?
No.
No.
So let me ask you.
Could you have added something? Could you? I'm just concerned because my friend's daughter. I mean, my daughter's friend. She was uncomfortable.
Okay.
How is she going to come to her male teacher and be like, "What does this mean?"
Right.
She doesn't even dare talk to her mom about it, and so you talk about things that are inappropriate and maybe she doesn't want to be open about it, this student, and you're forcing her to by giving her something that's like, oh, if your character wants to have physical touch, part of showing love is having sex. That's going to make a student uncomfortable, and that's inappropriate.
Okay, and I do apologize. I do want to say it was something that when I looked over it, in my mind and my personal worldview, didn't raise a red flag, though I understand from what you're saying that for some students and some parents it would. So I definitely should have taken that into consideration. So here's what I'd like to ask you is, at this point, I'd like to know what you think we should do going forward, because these have already been handed out to all of my 8th graders.
Sure. I think you should send an apology to every parent and tell them what was in it and say, I was unaware, or I knew that it was in there, but it was brought to my attention that this made a student uncomfortable.
Okay.
And I'm extremely apologetic.
Okay.
In the future, in this creative writing class, I will offer more nuanced writing when it comes to those things, because to me, that's the beauty of literature.
Yeah.
Like, I've read great books, Les Mis, the classics, right?
Yeah.
Jane Austen, they're all nuanced.
Yeah.
Because you learn more through nuance. And this culture that we have in new literature, where we're just being so explicit, it's taking away from the beauty of literature, in my opinion.
Okay.
You can disagree with that.
That's fine.
But for 8th graders, I feel like you could have been like, oh, standing close to someone, putting your arm around someone.
Sure.
This is how you develop a character. Not like, oh, you can kiss and have sex. Your character, if they like to have sex, that's a way that they can show love.
Okay, I do understand.
That's totally inappropriate.
Okay.
And it's almost like you're inviting them to write salacious material.
So here's the thing though. Like anytime any student has come ask me any questions about anything regarding to like sexual orientation, like or like inappropriate acts like that, I have always told my students, like, I am not the one you should ask about these things. Ask your parents, right?
I get that, but what I'm trying to explain to you is you're being suggestive.
Right.
Through a piece of paper. You may not have said it verbally, but through a piece of paper, you were suggesting to your students that in their writing, if they would like to have a character show affection, one of the ways in their writing they could is have their characters have sex.
Yes, and I'm telling you that was an unintentional mistake.
Okay, but you told me you looked at it and you did see it, and it didn't even raise a flag.
Right, because for me, it's not something that would raise a flag. It's more that I looked over, I read through it. It's a detail I may not have caught. It's a detail. But
that's concerning to me if you're teaching lots of students. That should raise a red flag. That's like me as a mom being like, when my kid came home and they had a black eye, but I just figured, I don't know, they fell on the playground. Not asking my kid like, oh my gosh, like, it's your job to be aware. It's your job to be like, this is my curriculum. What is in my curriculum? This is what I'm going to hand out this part of the semester. This is what I'm going to, what does this say? What am I telling my students through these hands out? Is this appropriate for their age? How old are they?
Right.
You should be asking yourself that. I don't know. I have a 4-year degree in history.
Okay.
I have been part of the education system. My mom has a master's degree. I understand how curriculums are put together for students. Right. You should be doing that.
Okay, I apologize.
And I feel like I think that you should send a letter out to the parents and apologize. And you should ask the parents to take this paper and have them disregard it and write a new paper, because this is totally inappropriate. That's all I need to say. Thank you for talking to me.